Camilo and Pablo Denoyer came to America as small children with their parents.
My only memories are in this country. There's nothing out there in Colombia for me.
I do feel like I'm an American. I've assimilated into this country completely. I mean, I've lived here all my life.
In the late 90s, their father, Roberto, was a government employee working for Colombia's finance minister. And a local guerrilla group tied to the FARC was extorting him. They wanted him to funnel money to them from the treasury.
The FARC finances its operations through kidnapping, ransom, extortion, and drug trafficking.
When he refused to help steal money from the government, the group threatened his family.
Las cartas decían que iba a rodar cabezas, que iba a haber sangre, que todo el tiempo acompañado, un guardaespaldas, mi esposa, mis hijos, porque habrían cartas en donde decían yo sé dónde está su hijo, en donde estudia.
The local police said they couldn't protect them, so the Denoyers fled to America on a travel visa. The family has been here ever since. They own a house. Roberto and his wife Consuela both work at American companies and pay their taxes. Their oldest son Pablo is a college student majoring in engineering, and Camilo is a senior in high school where he was elected prom king. Neither have memory of their birth country. But changes in federal immigration policy mean that this family will likely be forced to leave America before the end of the year.
If I were to be sent back there, I wouldn't be able to communicate. I wouldn't be able to live normally. Every opportunity will be taken away. It's not the same there. It's a third world country over there. And the possibility of even getting murdered over there is a high chance.
When they arrived, the Denoyers applied for asylum. After a multi-year legal battle, they were denied on the ground that Denoyer's political views weren't the primary factor in his decision to flee Colombia. And then, through a personal connection, the Denoyers were introduced to San Diego Congressman Duncan L. Hunter. He was moved by their story and agreed to use a special privilege called a private bill that allows a Congress member to request deferred deportation in specific cases. Congress members have filed such private bills on behalf of more than 1,900 immigrants since 1983. Hunter used the power 13 times in his 28-year congressional career. After he retired, the congressman's son, Duncan D. Hunter, was elected to the same seat, and he has continued filing paperwork every year to keep the family in the U.S. Hunter, like his father, is a conservative Republican and hardline restrictionist.
Seal off the border first. You have to build a wall. You got to do E-Verify so we know we're only hiring American citizens.
He's on the record opposing birthright citizenship and co-sponsored a bill that would reduce the number of refugees and unskilled immigrants allowed in the United States.
I would not increase the number of refugees right now at all, or period, the number of immigrants coming into the country legally right now. Sorry that people come from bad places, and not every place is America. That's not my fault.
But Hunter believes that members of Congress should have the discretionary power to grant certain families like the Denoyers political asylum. It's a power that Donald Trump reined in with an executive order signed last January that limited ICE's discretion to defer deportations, even in special asylum cases championed by members of Congress.
ICE has to show discretion in cases like these and discernment.
But discernment is exactly what the Trump administration hoped to eliminate with its executive order and Homeland Security memo announcing new zero-tolerance policies.
I have put in place a zero-tolerance policy for illegal entry on our southwest border.
How do you explain an apparent contradiction in using your powers as a congressman to shepherd this particular family through, but on the other hand, you've supported policies that do make it more difficult for asylum seekers?
I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. There's no contradiction. I'm elected to use my judgment on these things, and I think it's the same as we help lots of veterans. A lot of guys fall through the cracks, and I'm the only one that can help them. And I use my judgment, and the staff uses their judgment here to determine which of those cases merit the time and effort to do that. And this was one of those cases.
To this day, the Denoyer family receives threatening letters from the FARC, which are forwarded by a relative in Colombia. "You need to know that our organization is not played," reads one letter. "We will begin to crush and dismember one by one the members of your family. This in order for you to pay what you've agreed with us."
As a 17-year-old reading that someone wants to basically dismember your family, and that their goal is to ruin your lives and just make your life a living hell, it's terrible. It's awful. There's no way to express it.
ICE is aware of this threat. They've seen these letters, and despite all this, They still want to send us back.
And now Congressman Hunter can no longer protect the family from deportation thanks to Trump's zero-tolerance policies. According to the Denoyers, an ICE agent told them to prepare to leave the country within 2 weeks following their next check-in with the agency, which is yet to be scheduled.
What do you worry might happen if you did have to return to Colombia now?
It's a hard question. It is. How we throw away 17 years into oblivion and start over is so difficult. No, I don't know. I don't know.
While Hunter is sympathetic to the plight of the family and says he wants to do what he can to help them, he remains opposed to any measures that would make it easier for immigrants to enter the country.
There's lots of people that are seeking asylum that might not be politicians, but they're fleeing violence. They're fleeing cartel violence, gang violence.
But everybody's fleeing something.
Lots of these people arriving at the border might be legitimate asylum seekers, and they're just being either detained or turned back. Do you think that's a problem?
I see what you're saying. No, I don't think that's a big problem. Once again, this family got a visa to come into the United States first.
Do you think that the definition of asylum should be expanded a little bit to take into our fleeing violence?
No, I think it's very simple. ICE needs to not be stupid, because you have the same cases when you have translators from Iraq and Afghanistan and now Syria and Kurdistan. You have these translators that have been helping us, and this was really big in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've seen many military officers go to bat to try to get their translators back over to the U.S. So you would think out of anybody in the world who would have frontline permissions to having asylum and becoming a U.S. citizen, it's somebody that helped us for years with the U.S. military, was seen in their towns and villages in Iraq and Afghanistan. Families being killed, death threats every day. Everybody knows that they're working with the Americans, and they don't get ahead of the normal line. There are some cases, but not all the time, and that's one of those dumb things too. That's a mistake.
Pablo and Camilo Denoyer are hoping that somehow the family will be allowed to stay.
This country has, in a way, given us safety. And we're thankful for that. We really are. We can't express that enough. The people who have come out and helped us, people like Duncan Hunter, all the people in this community. Unfortunately, right now, the people who have the power over us and who hold our lives in their hands aren't able to see it the way everyone else is seeing it. And it's very frustrating.